18 years old, marked for death. Hiding in the hills outside Rome, sick with fever, moving from house to house at night so the soldiers hunting him would not find him asleep. His name was Julius Caesar. Rome had already decided he would not live long enough to matter. It was wrong. A few years later, a ship full of pirates would make exactly the same mistake. In 82 BC, Rome turned murder into paperwork. A general named Sulla had won a civil war and marched into the capital. Then, lists began appearing in the forum. Names of men who could be killed on sight. Their killers could claim rewards. Their property would be seized. Their sons shut out of public office. Their families ruined for a generation. These were the proscriptions. And somewhere outside Rome, 18-year-old Caesar was changing hiding places every night because his family had backed the losing side. Caesar came from an ancient patrician family, but not one of Rome's richest or most powerful. His aunt had married Marius, Sulla's dead enemy. Caesar himself was married to the daughter of one of Marius's closest allies. That made him dangerous enough to notice and powerless enough to threaten. Sulla offered him a way out. "Divorce your wife," he ordered, "and live." Caesar refused. He had no army behind him, no political office, no wealth capable of protecting him. He was a teenager telling the most powerful man in Rome, no. It should have been the shortest political career in Roman history. Instead, Caesar lost his inheritance, his position, and his safety. Then, he disappeared into the Sabine hills before Sulla's soldiers could arrest him. He changed shelters constantly, rarely risking 2 nights beneath the same roof. When patrols discovered him, he bribed his way free. At one point, he became so ill that the fever nearly finished what Sulla had begun. Still, he would not divorce his wife. Eventually, Caesar's relatives began calling in every favor they had. Senators intervened. So did respected members of Rome's priesthood. Even the Vestal Virgins, the most sacred and politically untouchable women in Rome, appealed to Sulla on his behalf. At last, Sulla gave in. But according to later accounts, he warned the men pleading for Caesar that they were fools. In this teenager, Sulla said, he saw many Mariuses. He meant that Caesar might grow into another version of his greatest enemy, a man capable of raising armies, overturning the government, and bringing Rome to its knees. Sulla recognized that Caesar was dangerous. He simply believed the danger had passed. Caesar left Italy and entered military service in the East. By the time he returned, Sulla was dead, and the death lists had disappeared. But Rome had taught Caesar something he would never forget. Power did not always belong to the man with the title, the soldiers, or the legal authority. Sometimes it belonged to the man willing to act while everyone else hesitated. A few years later, Caesar sailed east again, this time to Rhodes. He planned to study rhetoric, the art of controlling a room with nothing but his voice. He would never reach the classroom. Near the island of Pharmacusa, pirates surrounded his ship. Once again, armed men had decided they controlled Caesar's fate. Once again, they were wrong. Mediterranean piracy in this era was not small-time robbery. These pirates commanded organized fleets and controlled stretches of coastline. They were wealthy, experienced, and well-armed enough to embarrass the Roman navy itself. They took Caesar hostage and demanded 20 talents of silver for his release, a considerable ransom for a young Roman nobleman. Caesar laughed at them. 20 talents, he told his captors, was insulting. They clearly had no idea whom they had captured. He was worth 50. Then Caesar sent his own companions away to raise the larger ransom he had demanded for himself. For 38 days, he remained with the pirates, guarded by armed men who believed he was their prisoner. Caesar behaved as though they were his staff. When he wanted to sleep, he ordered them to stop talking. He joined their games and exercises. He wrote speeches and poems, gathered the pirates together, and made them listen. When they failed to admire his work sufficiently, he called them illiterate savages. He also told them that once he was free, he would return, capture every one of them, and have them crucified. The pirates laughed. A good joke from an arrogant young man with no army, no ship, and no money. The ransom arrived. The pirates collected their 50 talents and released Caesar. He sailed away a free man. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. Caesar stepped ashore with no soldiers waiting for him, no command from Rome, and no legal authority to pursue anyone. So he went from harbor to harbor, asking for ships and crews from men who had no obligation to obey him. Somehow, they did. Caesar assembled a small force and returned to sea before the pirates could hear that he was coming. The hostage had become the hunter. He found them, still anchored near the place where they had held him, apparently confident enough in their ransom money that they had not bothered to flee. They had laughed at his promise because they thought he lacked the power to keep it. Caesar captured them, recovered his silver, and carried the prisoners to Pergamum to await execution. Then the Roman governor intervened. He was the man with the official authority to punish them, but he kept delaying. The pirates and their captured property were valuable, and selling the prisoners into slavery promised more profit than settling a young nobleman's private grievance. Caesar had heard this argument before. Submit, wait, accept what the man in power has decided. Once again, he refused. Caesar returned to the prison, took custody of the pirates himself, and ordered every one of them crucified, precisely as he had promised while standing unarmed among them. He granted them one final mercy. Before the crucifixions, he had their throats cut, sparing them the slow death he had threatened. The pirates had spent 38 days laughing at Caesar because they believed they understood the difference between a prisoner and a man with power. Caesar had just shown them that he did not recognize the difference. He was about 25 years old. He held no command, he had no army, and no permission from Rome. Yet he had raised a fleet, captured his captors, and carried out the sentence he had promised while still their prisoner. Sulla had looked at Caesar as a teenager and seen another Marius. The pirates had looked at him and seen a rich, arrogant boy. Both recognized that there was something dangerous about him. Both still underestimated it. Rome would make the same mistake for another 30 years. Eventually, there would be no one left powerful enough to stop him.